Welcome to Embrace Yourself. My name is Kim, and today I'd like to demonstrate a fascial release for the knee joint. Now, I know a ton of people that experience knee pain, and just because the pain presents at our knee doesn't necessarily mean that's where the issue is. It could be because we produce 8 times our body weight in power out of our hips, and we also absorb 8 times our body weight in impact force out of the feet, that the problem could lay somewhere else. However, it is important to make sure that we're fascially releasing the entire leg and knee. So let's try that today. What you will need are some fascia blasters. Now, if you don't have these, I've included a link below. I highly recommend ordering them. They are very different from rollers because rollers I can typically only go in one direction. These allow me to move in multiple directions across the fascial tissue, which is a major game changer for releasing fascial adhesions. When using the fascia blasters, you will need 2 other things. You need some kind of an oil or a lubricant. I use coconut oil because I typically do this right when I get out of a hot shower. But you can also use hot stones or some kind of a heat pad to heat the skin in the area that you're planning to blast. Now, some people do use a sauna or a hot tub. I just don't like to do that because I feel as though that dehydrates my fascial tissue, and we want our fascia to be well hydrated when we're blasting it. So what I want you to do is basically make sure that you have the area lubricated and make sure that you get oil going around both the back and front of the leg and then over the front of the knee as well as the back of the knee. So I make sure I've got everything really nicely lubricated because I want these tools to be able to glide across my skin. Once I've done that, I can use my hot stone and go ahead and heat the tissue. Again, if you're getting out of the shower, you'll be warm, so you just add the oil and get blasting. And I make sure to go across the front of my knee as well as the back of my knee. So I'm just trying to get heat into all of the areas. And it's just to get it warm so that it feels like it's a little bit more loose and pliable. Now from here, I'm going to begin with the Master Blaster. I love this fascial tool. And basically what I'm going to do is just go up and down on the side of my leg, on the front of my leg, and again on the inside of my thigh. Now what I'm doing is I'm hitting all of the muscles and fascial bands. So down the side of the leg you have something known as your iliotibial band, IT band, and so many people complain about that causing huge amounts of pain. In addition, we have something called the TFL, which is the tensor fasciae lata, and that's basically a fascial band that attaches the hip to the knee. And then we've got our inner thighs, those adductors, and our main heads of the quadricep. So I'm just working through all of these muscles, all of these tendons, ligaments, just trying to open up that fascial tissue. And then I can also come along the backside. You'll notice that I'm hitting the main muscles first. I want to get those big muscles opened, and then I'll start focusing on my knee joint. Now, I can do this just vertically, going up and down. I can also go horizontally across the fascial tissue. So now I'm going in a horizontal motion, and OMG, does that feel different than moving vertically up and down? And you may see I'm starting to get some redness in the leg. That's blood flow that's going into those tissues. Now the great news about adding blood to an area, blood carries oxygen into our cells, and at the same time it carries toxins away from the cells. So obviously if you're fascia blasting, you have to make sure to drink plenty of fluid, lots of water, because you want to flush this. Finally, I can go on the diagonal of a muscle. So I work diagonally across the tissue. The only way that we don't want to use the fascia blaster is in a circular motion. Think anytime you circle, you're binding up that fascial tissue, and I'm trying to open and release it. So I do this on the front and the back, and I just work my way. Oh my gosh, you will feel it when you start moving in other directions. And if you notice pain, what I do is I try to breathe into that tissue and ask to release the trauma that's stored there. Not only is it physical, but they're finding emotional trauma stored in our fascial tissue. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, ask to let it go and release, and you will be amazed at how good you feel. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to use my small face blaster as it's known, to go ahead and start working on blasting the knee. This is where I am super gentle. Whenever I am blasting and fascially releasing a joint, I really want to be careful. So I just am coming in very gently, and I can go to the inside of the knee and just kind of work, but again, it's just a gentle stroking motion, and I'm really asking permission for my knee to just let me in and release whatever is trapped there. And I come down around the front, again, super light, and you'll notice I'm moving in a vertical plane right now. I can also go horizontally across and across that kneecap, but I am really going gentle. You'll see what I mean. And then I can move to the back of the knee. Now here I'm going to go slow and again, super light. People may have heard of something called a Baker's cyst. We never want to be intense with the back of the knee because that is where Baker's cyst is located. And we want to be uber careful. So I just gently blast up and down. I'm going vertically. Then I can go across horizontally. And again, I'm just stroking the area. And I can also work on the diagonal. And you'll see I can start to come into where those ligaments and tendons attach. But I can also go diagonally across the back of the knee joint. And I can move in both planes of motion. Then as I come back up higher, that's where I can start to really dig into the big muscles and the big tissues and just see if I notice anything. So you'll notice not only did I use my master blaster, but I also use my face blaster. And then I'll start coming down, and if I feel any areas where there might be a lump or some kind of tightness or restriction, I just focus into that area and try and breathe and blast and see if I can get it to release itself. This should feel amazing. At first, if you're new, it may be incredibly intense, but then you're going to love it. Now, once you've blasted the area, so we've gone up and down the upper leg, working into the knee and around the knee joint, and for all of you skiers that ever have knee aches and pains after a day on the slopes, you are going to love this blasting technique. You can also come down the lower leg, but that's for another time. Once I've done that, I am going to go ahead and either use my hot stone again just to start flushing the area. So after you blast, you always want to come back and just flush and release. But if you don't have a stone, you could always take the back of your fascia blaster and just start to flush out the area that you've blasted. And the reason for this is I'm trying to get that blood to move away from the area, bringing in new blood and carrying those icky toxins away. Once again, I would go very light on the back of my knee, just gently flushing, and the same thing along the front and into those sides. So that's it. That is the fascial release for the knee. You are going to be amazed at how great it feels for the knee as well as the leg. I think you're really going to love it. So I hope that you'll click subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure to ding the bell so you're notified of upcoming videos, and I'll see you tomorrow.